Hey, salon owners. Today's episode is going to change the way you look at taxes forever. Yes, I said taxes, but don't worry, this isn't boring. It's actually brilliant because something big just happened and it's finally putting our industry on the map where it belongs.
Yeah. So if you're someone who's ever said, I want to take care of my team, but tips are killing me and taxes, stick with us. You're about to get a dollar for dollar win. So let's dive in.
Love it. Okay, so picture this. Here's a restaurant, and then here's a salon. Okay. So, have you ever wondered why restaurants have been rewarded by the government for tipped wages for decades, but salons were just left out? You guys, it wasn't because our industry didn't matter. It was because no one stood up and said, "What about us?" until now.
Yeah. So if you know this, restaurants for years have benefited from something called the FICA Tax Tip Credit. And here's how it worked. Restaurant owners had big tax savings. On the other side, as salon owners, like Lindsay was saying earlier, zero, 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 no tax savings. So every time a server reported tax, the restaurant got a credit on their taxes. But for salon owners, at the time, nope, you paid 15.3% in payroll taxes on every dollar your team earned in tips and got nothing back in return until now.
Yeah, because you guys, this new legislation, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, finally extends the tax credit to you. So let me say that again. You're now eligible for a dollar for dollar tax credit on the payroll taxes you pay on your team's tips. That's not hype. That's the law. So if you've ever thought tips are just too expensive as an employer, go ahead and toss that belief because what used to cost you thousands can now put thousands back into your pocket.
Yeah. So let's think of this from two different salon owners. We're going to paint this picture of you. We're going to have Ashley and Maya. So we got Ashley and Maya. Both salon owners and both heard about this new tax credit, right? So Ashley, on one hand, meant to follow up. She bookmarked the email that this big, beautiful bill was launching. She was busy, but she said, oh, I'll get back to it later. Come April, she owes more than she thought, and she's frustrated. But Maya, she got coached. She filed correctly and received a $31,850 tax credit. Let me say that again, a $31,850 tax credit. And the most amazing part of this is she used it as a down payment on her first rental property.
Yeah, I love that. I love that picture that you're painting, Jen. So let's just go ahead and fast forward 10 years. You know, Maya owns now 4 rental properties and her salons run themselves. And she is now in the investor quadrant. Her money is working while she's sleeping. And Ashley, she's still doing payroll. She's asking herself, why am I not further ahead? But the difference wasn't effort, it was action. And I think if you're not familiar with how you get to the I quadrant, one of our favorite books, who our mentor Jane has been credited working with for years, is Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad. He really dives into, how you move from the E to the I part of the investor quadrant, to where at one point you're employed, then self-employed, then you have a business, and then investor is that quadrant. And so when you move into that investor quadrant, that's when magic really starts multiplying and happening inside of your life. And we coach to this inside of Salon Business School all the time.
Yeah. So, just remember this, the IRS is offering you money. So, you got two choices. You can either grab it or leave it on the table for someone else to take. And we're not talking about a cute little bonus. We're talking actually about a wealth building money. Now, for some of you might be wondering, well, how much is this really worth for me? And so let's do some quick math together. If you want to write this down, this will be a great exercise for you to go do. So first you want to pull a tip report from your payroll system or POS, your CRM, whatever it may be, and add up the total reported tips for the year for your employees. Now you want to multiply that number by 7.65%. And you're like, Jen, what does that number mean? This is the employer portion of Social Security plus Medicare taxes that you paid. And that number, that's your potential tax credit, dollar for dollar. So let's say your team reported $150,000 in tips last year. You have my calculator, do some quick math. So that'd be 150,000 times, the 7.65%, which equals $11,475. That's $11,475 back in your pocket every year. And this is just the beginning.
I love that. If you're excited, this is such a great thing to be able to share with another salon owner. Send them the link to this podcast now. But here's what you'll need to do next. The first thing that you want to do is make sure that you're reporting all employee tips, including digital tips. The next thing that you want to do is make sure your team is W-2. So this is, hourly or commission based. If you're 1099, you're out on this one. We would love to have a conversation with you, how to move into a direction where you're running a business. So feel free to reach out to us if you want to make that switch. The next thing that you'll want to do then is file that IRS Form 8846 through your CPA or payroll provider. So that's something you're going to want to reach out to your CPA or your payroll provider right away to start getting the ball rolling there. The fourth thing that you want to do is make sure you're training your team to report tips properly, because they still get to keep up to $25,000 in tax-free tips per year. So communicate that with them, make sure that they're properly reporting tips, make sure that they're clocking in and out, because you'll need that to be compliant with everything. Because you might be worried, hey, is my team going to freak out? We got you. We'll help you explain it in a way that builds trust instead of fear.
Yeah. So let's zoom out and think up to yourself, like, what would you do with an extra $10,000, $20,000, or even $30,000 a year? Lindsay was mentioned the cash flow quadrant, ESBI, and you can stay in E or S, which is exchanging time for money, or start investing. And this tax credit is the bridge that can take you there.
Yes. Yes, we'll help you prepare. Yes, we'll help you talk to your team. But more than that, we'll help you use this money strategically to build real wealth. So in 2035, you're not still asking, what if I had started back then? Let's pick the path that leads to freedom. You're right on time. So if this has spoken to you, if you're ready to claim your credit and make it count, text the word bill, that's BILL, to 469-283-5590. And did I say 263? I meant 283. So that number is 469-283-5590 with the word bill, BILL. And we'll send you our free step-by-step checklist.
Yeah, because this is your moment to stop surviving and start building something that lasts. So until next time, keep growing, keep leading, and keep building that beautiful legacy. Salon Success Secrets, we're out, and we'll see you next time.